Spellbreak is a free-to-play battle royale full of magic. Players use spell gauntlets to cast spells, but what's interesting about this is the elements can mix together to form unique combinations. So in today's video, we will review every single elemental combination in Spellbreak. If you're looking for a quick overview of the game, you can check out my beginner's guide linked on screen and down below. First, let's briefly cover the elements so we know what's in our tool belt. The Lightning Gauntlet fires lightning bolts as its primary attack and can summon a lightning strike at the target location. The Fire Gauntlet shoots fireballs that function similar to a rocket launcher. The fireballs explode on any surface and leave behind what we will call a fire puddle. Don't worry, the nomenclature will make sense soon. It can also summon a wall of flames. The Ice Gauntlet has the most going on. Its primary attack is an Ice Lance. If ice is your primary element, the Ice Lance will also create an ice trail below it as it travels. After a short time, the ice trail will melt and create water puddles. When exposed to heat, ice and water can create steam clouds. Steam can then be frozen to create an ice wall segment. The Ice Gauntlet can also create a flash freeze in an area around you. The Wind Gauntlet shoots wind shears as its primary attack and can summon a tornado at the target location. The Earth Gauntlet creates a shockwave along the ground in front of you as its primary attack and can launch a boulder through the air. The Toxic Gauntlet fires a toxic spray. If toxic is your primary element, then the toxic spray will also create toxic puddles on the ground. It can also create a toxic cloud at the target location. By my count, there are nearly 100 permutations of these elemental effects, but in the interest of time, we will cover only the possible combinations. Now, let's go through each elemental effect and their interactions. The combinations change based on which spell was cast first, so we will go through the list with each spell just having been casted. Starting with the element of fire. If Flamewall, Fireball, or a Fire Puddle connects with a tornado, it will create a fire tornado. Likewise, all fire spells will set a boulder ablaze, which will in turn create a large fire puddle on impact. Any fire spell that connects with a toxic cloud or a toxic puddle will create an explosion. Flamewall or a fireball casted on an ice trail, ice wall, or water puddle will create steam. Flamewall casted onto a flash freeze will instantly be snuffed out by the blizzard. Now onto ice. All ice spells will remove persistent fire effects from the world like Flamewall and Fire Puddles. Flash Freeze and Ice Lance that connect with a boulder will freeze the boulder, causing it to create a frozen mist on impact. The frozen mist looks like this, and as far as I can tell, has no interactions, and will cause any player inside it to slowly freeze. Flash Freeze, Ice Lance, and Ice Trail casted on a toxic cloud or steam cloud will create an ice wall. Ice walls can be used for temporary cover and they can be stood on. Toxic clouds that get frozen behave just like ice walls created by freezing steam, but they will be bigger and have a green tint to them. Note that whatever gas that was frozen will continue its duration after it thaws, so be mindful of the toxic cloud afterwards. And if a player is currently inside a cloud when it's frozen, it will not create the wall, but instead create a frozen mist. Flash Freeze or Ice Lance casted on a water puddle will refreeze the puddle back into an ice trail. Lightning is an easy element to remember because it does the same thing to everything it can combine with, and that's shock, which either deals damage or applies the shock status, which can block the casting of spells, but you're still able to move. Both Lightning Strike and Lightning Bolt function the same way. Lightning cast on an ice trail or liquids like a water puddle and even a toxic puddle will electrify them and shock players hit. Similarly, lightning that is cast on steam clouds or toxic clouds will electrify the cloud. Lightning that is cast on a tornado, however, will create a shock tornado that looks pretty much like a storm. For wind, the tornado can be cast either first or second, and it will still absorb an element. We already talked about adding fire or lightning to a tornado, but you can also create a toxic tornado with any toxic spell. Tornadoes will clear out any ice trails, water puddles, or steam clouds they connect with. Wind Shear, on the other hand, the primary attack from the Wind Gauntlet, is mostly janitorial. It will remove flame wall segments, fire puddles, ice trails, water puddles, and toxic puddles on impact. It will take a few extra shots, but wind shear will also remove toxic clouds and steam clouds too. Lastly, wind shear and tornadoes will greatly increase the travel speed of a flying boulder. My gut tells me this is currently a bit overtuned, as you can really get the boulder going fast, but I'm curious to see how players will use it. Earth. We know that boulders can be set on fire, frozen, or launched with wind. But boulders will also remove ice walls, ice trails, water puddles, and toxic puddles on impact. And shockwaves will do the same. However, shockwaves sent through fire will create a flame path along their length of their fissure. Lastly, let's get toxic. We already know that fire connecting with toxic clouds will cause them to explode. We know that any time a toxic cloud connects with a tornado, it will create a toxic tornado. And we know that toxic clouds can be frozen, and this occurs regardless of whether they are cast first or second. But wait, there's more. Launching toxic spray into either a flame wall or a fire puddle will turn them into toxic fire. Both toxic cloud and toxic spray will convert an ice trail or water puddle into a toxic puddle. And if you somehow manage to run into a steam cloud while holding a toxic gauntlet, using either toxic spray or toxic cloud will convert the steam into a toxic cloud. Woof. And that hopefully should be every elemental combination in the game. But since I'm human, if there's anything I missed, let me know in the comments. I hope this video proves useful to you. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I'll see you in the next one.